Hi, I'm Jacqueline Briggs-Martin, one of the writers of Chef Roy Choi and the Street Food Remix.
And my name is Junjo Lee, also one of the writers of Chef Roy Choi and the Street Food Remix. What we'd like to share today is something that's Korean, and the most representative Korean food, I think, is kimchi. So here we have the basic ingredients to make kimchi. The most important ingredient is sea salt. And then you have to have the vegetable that you are fermenting. And Koreans love this kind of Napa cabbage. We just think it is so delicious and crisp as kimchi. But it can be any vegetable. And then ginger, garlic, and green onions. And then, of course, onions. And then you might see these lovely dried peppers. These are chili peppers, and they are actually Holland peppers. That's the varietal. They're more sweet than they are so spicy. I mean, they smell so nice. They're often sun-dried. But where does chili come from? Do we know?
Peppers come from Latin America, I think.
That's right. Yeah. And so in Korea, we didn't have chilies until a couple hundred years ago. So our kimchi wasn't red like this. It was white. So shall we start
chopping?
Let's start chopping. The most important part of making kimchi is brining, salting. So we add a lot of salt. A way to make this process even faster sometimes is people add water. My rule of thumb is like pasta water, you want it to taste like the ocean. That's my rule of thumb.
I love that because that's where it came from.
That's right. So typically when you make kimchi, or when I make kimchi, I do this process at night. And then I wake up and I finish it off. You know that this is fully brined when it bends instead of snaps like this. Okay, I'm gonna add Jackie's green onions.
There's my garlic too.
And garlic, and I'm gonna start chopping some ginger. So, and again, how much do we add? It's up to you. The beauty of making kimchi is it's totally customized to what you like. And so typically this would be coarsely ground to about the texture of coffee grind, but it's not. And so what I'm gonna do is just add them whole for a little bit of prettiness, but also the spiciness will seep in almost like a tea bag. So we'll just add them whole like that. And I like onions, so I'll do half and you can do half. So you get this beautiful pretty colors here of the white, the green, the red, the yellow from the ginger. And this is basically your kimchi seasoning. And so let's just get another bowl and I'll just show you how we might. Actually, for young kids, you might skip the peppers altogether because that way it's not too spicy. And so what you would do is you would drain it and then you mix. In our book, Chef Roy Choi, we talk about 손맛. 손맛, or as Chef Roy likes to say, 손맛. It means the flavor in your fingertips or the flavor of relationships. 손 means hands in Korean and 맛 means flavor. But really, at a deep level, it's talking about food flavored by relationships. When you go to a house in Korea, they might have a kimchi refrigerator. It's an entire refrigerator full of kimchi, if you can imagine that. We love kimchi so much. And when you start examining the kimchi, they're from their relatives. So, this is my mother's kimchi, this is my auntie's kimchi, my sister made this kimchi, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law. So it really is about relationships. Now, Jackie, that we've mixed it so well. And do you see that it's kind of glistening?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's also part of the brining process. The water is starting to come out. And then what you have to do is stuff it. And I might recommend a wide mouth jar, much like this kimchi jar. This mason jar will work, but it's going to be a little hard to stuff all that kimchi in. Now, if this had been brining for longer, it would be wetter. And so even as you put in the cabbage, liquid is continuing to come out. Kimchi is a lacto-fermentation process, so it just sits, and the microbes from the air will come in and they will start transforming it. They will eat the sugars that are in the kimchi, and you might leave this jar a little bit unclosed, maybe even just little ajar, and it'll start bubbling and liquid will start coming out.
If we were really doing this, the water would be up over the vegetables.
Yes.
The vegetables would be submerged
Like this
in
kimchi.
that one.
And so if we had time to brine it, the liquid would start coming, and you'd want to press down like this. If these chili peppers were coarsely ground, your kimchi would look like this. But in Korea, we call this white kimchi without the peppers, and kids love to eat it because it's not spicy. Well, thank you very much, and we hope that this will inspire you to make kimchi at home.
Once I started working on Chef Roy Choi and the Street Food Remix, I ate kimchi every day. So we hope you will eat it once in a while.
And I can't resist, Jackie. I'm gonna have to try this. Very good.